This conference will now be recorded.
Well, thank you all for joining me here today on October the 4th, 2021. Before we even get started, let me mention that in 2 weeks, on October the 18th, we're going to have a presentation from a company called Confirmed. Actually, let me show of hands real quick. How many people here use Calendly to schedule meetings? No? Okay.
I scheduled through Calendly, but I don't use it. Yeah, for mine.
So Confirmed is basically like a more feature-rich, more fancy Calendly. And for those of you folks that are not familiar with it, let me just say real quick, it's a great tool for scheduling one-on-one meetings. It knows your calendar, and then it offers people the free slots. They can sign up themselves, put in their phone, their email, whatever you want them to put in. And then it's got these work streams where, you can send reminders before the meeting, send follow-up meetings after the meeting. And basically it increases the probability that they will show up to the meeting and the meeting will happen a lot more. And it takes work off your plate because all the scheduling is automatically. So there's no back and forth about dates and times and things like that. And the last thing I'll say about Confirmed is, because I've talked to the gentleman that runs it. We're both here in the Pittsburgh area, and we used to do a lot of live networking events back before the pandemic. He's put a lot of time and effort into figuring out how behavioral economics can help get the results you want through the software. So anyway, long story short, if you do one-on-one meetings and you schedule a lot of one-on-one meetings, that presentation in 2 weeks is one you don't want to miss. Now, back to today's meeting. So the agenda, like always, will be 3 parts. The first part is we'll just do a round of introductions so everybody can present themselves to the group. I see a lot of people that are here regularly, but I'm not sure everybody knows everybody. Second part is hopefully some of those introductions will trigger questions or comments from some of the other folks here. And then hopefully we'll still have time left. I'll try to get people out of here 45 to 50 minutes after the hour so you can take a break before your next scheduled meeting. But if we still have a couple minutes left at the end, we're going to open it up to general conversation, kind of like what we were doing before I started recording. And it's always a shame. Some of the best conversations happen before I start recording, but I'm sure we'll have still a lot of other topics. So that's it. I'm just going to go down my list as I see people here on my list. And Jennifer, you get to kick us off. If you could take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the rest of the group.
Hi, Jennifer Lough. I run Jen Lough Agency. Basically, I troubleshoot mainly for nonprofits, and I also deal in historical assets, like high-end paintings. And that's pretty much it. I haven't really done much lately.
Okay, excellent. And Jennifer's cooking, so hopefully we'll get a look at that before we have to log off here. John, you want to take a minute or two to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is John Lilienthal. I own Statement Marketing. I work with small businesses to bring expertise to their sales, marketing, bottom line. It can cover anything from business, the way they do business, the way they do selling, the way they do marketing, some cases the way they do accounting. I'm not an accountant, but there are an awful lot of business owners out there that really know their business, but they have no idea how to run one. Doctors being number one, but getting more clients, but also making more money, because you can hit $1 million and lose money, or you can hit $1 million and make $100,000 or $200,000 yourself. So right now I'm working with one business that's hit $1 million. We're now trying to hit 2, and it's funny that hump is hard to get over, but it is. 1.8, 1.9, 1.9. So I just work with small businesses and work as a business coach to help them figure out what to do next, how to do it, and move them up the line, basically. And I'm based in Novi, Michigan, but I can work anywhere thanks to Zoom.
Excellent, excellent, very much. Patrick from Ireland, if you want to take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the rest of the folks here.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here, and I want to talk to you about health, because health is more than the absence of symptoms. Every second of every day, our cells are passing tremendous amounts of information throughout the body, and any breakdown in that signaling and communication, we cannot be fully healthy. For example, we get signals when we're hungry, or we're cold, or we're too hot, or we're uncomfortable, or we're tired, or whatever. But the one I like most is when we wake up in the middle of the night to go to the loo. We really do get a good signal, and go back to bed and fall asleep again. I mean, that is a wonderful conscious signal. The unconscious ones then would be that we may not realize our hearts are beating 24/7, more signaling. Our lungs are working, our pancreas produces insulin when we eat. And this new cellular health and redox biology science introduces a higher level of health, which should be thought of as wellness. This means that healthcare is very different from disease care. When the basic rules of cellular health and redox signaling are followed, and the building and repair materials are optimally provided through diet and supplementation, the cell is then able to act on its own to heal and maintain health as nature intended. This is the only technology in the world that amplifies and clarifies our cellular signals, and the difference it is making in most people's lives is absolutely astonishing. For many people, this is now the missing link. Independently validated, non-toxic, enabling us to have a real advantage. So you or those you know deserve to know about this breakthrough, particularly those with a health challenge, people with a health who are health conscious, or those who are interested in generating additional income stream, opening up tremendous financial opportunity in 33 countries. This may not be for you, but who springs to mind? My thanks to you all for enabling me to understand what you are doing, and the gift of your attention, and the possibility of exploring how we could collaborate. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick. And I see Nancy just logged on. And Nancy, if you have a camera on your side, on this system, you actually have to hit the little icon that looks like a camera and turn it green so we can see you. We're going through a round of introductions, so I'll just keep going down my list, and we'll loop back to you, and we'll give you a minute or two to do your introduction. So let's see. Next on my list is Rhoda. If you could take a minute or two to introduce yourself from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hi, everyone. Good day to you. And good to see some of you again. And John, by the way, I would be very happy to have you write a guest blog post about selling
Okay.
for you website. Say It For You consists of a team of ghost writers, and we write what you read when you go on our client's website. So we are just a piece of the marketing effort. We focus on the wordsmithing piece of telling the story, understanding the client's goal, telling that in words, although other forms of marketing are built around that. So we found that the blog can be the center of the videos and the center for the trade shows and the center for the entire plan of how to tell their story. So I was telling Sal that this week I had a very unusual story to tell, where an attorney was of many years, was interested in applying to be a judge in another state. And the application included 4 or 5 long essays. It was like getting into college, where you had to explain why you deserved to be considered for such a responsible position. And he was told that even one mistake in grammar or spelling would nix the entire application. So he hired me to help him tell his story. And so now we're waiting for probably several months to find out if it worked. So that was a very unusual way to say it for you.
Okay.
Excellent. And I was telling Rhoda before we started that, usually attorneys and certainly potential judges, you would think they would be excellent at writing because they've been learning it all the way from college through law school and through their practice. So it's very flattering that they actually asked her to help them get it absolutely perfectly. So here we go. Next on my list is Stephanie Peterson from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the Balloon Fest.
Hello, everyone. Hello. It's been a while since I've had the opportunity to talk to you all. It's been fairly busy, and like we talked about a little bit when I first came on, we have a very small staff here. So with events coming back into play, things are getting busier for us, which is great. So I do business development here at Exhibit It. A lot of people know us as trade show marketing experts, but we also do a lot of visual concepts. So with COVID coming on, we had some issues with events being canceled, things not happening out there. So we had to kind of do a little conversion over to some virtual things for a while. And then now that shows are being scheduled all over the country again, we are having a lot of our clients come back to us that are ready to go out to shows, ready to get out there. But not only that, 40% of our industry closed their doors for good, which means there are people out there that have lost their exhibit houses, have lost their storage, have lost their show services, those people that can really help them out there at those trade shows. So we've been able to kind of step in. We moved in the same process, so now we have a larger warehouse. So we have the ability to house more of these displays for these people and these companies out there that need that help. So if you find anybody out there that needs show services, needs a place to put their displays, needs somebody to help them with their labor setup, takedown, we just ask that you push our name out there. We have been in business for going on 25 years now. And we have a lot of different capabilities and expertise that we can help them out with. So I've been here coming up on 7 years. My 7-year anniversary is in November. And then, of course, like Sal said, the International Balloon Fiesta is going on right now. It started on Saturday. It goes through next Sunday. And so I invite you to look it up, look at some videos. I mean, there were hundreds of beautiful balloons in the sky this morning on my way into work. And it's just a perfect setting for those balloons in the air. So give you an opportunity to take a look at that. So thank you. Thank you so much, Sal.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, and now we're going to loop back. And Nancy, as I mentioned, everybody's taking a minute or two to introduce yourself. So if you would like to unmute yourself from your side and take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the rest of the group.
Hello, I am an instructional designer. I live in the Washington, D.C. metro area. I'm in the Virginia suburbs. Of our main industry here is hot air. I knew most people don't know what an instructional designer does. It's kind of a combination of writing, web design, uh, uh, educational modules, and graphic design. So I have a master's degree in behavior analysis, which is great for business. Most people think of ABA as something you do in special education, and it is used a lot with kids with autism, but it's also used in business for evaluating employees. So it's really good background to go into instructional design. I've been doing instructional design work for more than 15 years with a nonprofit that I still do work for. But I went back to school and got a postgraduate certificate in e-learning. I've been working virtually since, if you can believe this, since 1998. I've had the same email address that whole time. And basically, I was an internet pioneer. I created the first infertility website on the entire web. It was one very long page. Things are very different now. But that's what I do, and I'm just Inside, which is the nonprofit that I still am on the board and still do free work for, was pretty much decimated by the pandemic. Most of our most of the constituents that we support are strapped financially anyway, and so donations are almost non-existent. We did have a donor step forward, and we're redesigning the website with a colleague of mine that's in Indonesia and works really cheap. If you really need good but cheap web design, I can give you a name of my colleague who used to be here in the Washington area and went back and is now doing web. He's a developer and he has a company there, and they do really good work. We have sort of a complicated back end with Drupal, which is a free. I think I read only about 2% of websites use it. It's a great back end, but it's complicated to develop. It's free though. Of course, developing it isn't free. Creating a website with it isn't free. But anyway, so that's what I do, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Nancy, for joining us, and I'll go last. Sometimes I forget to introduce myself. I have so much fun, and I get so excited listening to everybody. But anyway, my name is Sal Acosta, as you can see there, and I am a business broker, which is exactly like it sounds. I help people buy and sell businesses. Now, since they come in all shapes and sizes, I usually deal with what's called Main Street businesses and lower middle market. So that's a business that will have maybe as few as 10 employees. On the high side, maybe a maximum of 250. From a revenue perspective, anywhere from 0 all the way up to a maximum of 10 or $20 million in revenue for the year. And things are still crazy with coronavirus, and maybe we can talk about that because it's hard not to talk about that. But hopefully at least break even to about $1 million or $2 million in net positive cash flow for the year. Perhaps the most important thing and wonderful thing is that now that everybody's getting used to doing business over Zoom, I'm actually working with people all over the United States, which I think for me is really interesting and really fun. And I get to learn about things all over the U.S. and all types of different businesses. So if you know of anybody that wants to buy or sell a business, please let me know. And that's it for this first session. So have the introductions triggered questions from anybody to anybody?
Well, I think that Rhoda has an amazing business. Well, everybody has an amazing business, but what I like about Rhoda is putting together words for people and to be able to communicate. And it is something I think that we have lost in the modern world, where I know language is dynamic, but you need to be able to say good things in a nice way, in a way that connect. So you see, I come from an engineering background, and engineers are practically illiterate, in terms of writing.
My dad was an engineer. I can relate to that.
So they do loads of these theses, but they can't publish them. The English is so bad, But so you are very important, Rhoda. I connect with you in that area.
I want to piggyback on that remark, something different. You were saying that next meeting, we're going to hear about a different form of calendar setting. And I want to say that I personally don't like Calendly or those programs when they are used instead of communication. Because when someone sends me an email saying, I really want to meet with you, please set up the appointment on Calendly, and not explaining or talking to me to find out, do I want to meet with them? What do they want to meet with me about? What do we have in common? In other words, establishing something. The Calendly is just supposed to be the mechanics of it to make it easier, but you can't bypass the communication part of actually talking to the people.
Yeah.
Sometimes in 2 sentences on the phone, I can find out more about you than I can with 60 emails. So it's really important. I think that Patrick is onto something, that we need to preserve face to face, and whether it's Zoom or however, but personal communication that is not merely typing something.
Oh, let me tell you, and Rhoda, I'm going to piggyback on what you said, and I'll be honest, and I'd like to hear other people's opinions on this. I don't know if it's a generational issue, because I'm with you. I would much rather call somebody on the phone instead of emailing them or texting, because if I say something, they can react immediately. I can ask them a clarifying question, and in 5 or 10 minutes, we can get done and resolved and on track, whatever it would take us 2, 3, 4 days, even a week over email or text messages. But I have actually run into people that have told me, and I think I'm okay. It's not that they don't like me, but they have said, "Listen, Sal, don't call me. Text me, email me. I just want you to text me an email. I don't want any phone calls." And to be honest with you, in some cases, I've said, "Well, you know what? I'm not going to work with this person because this is going to be so hard and so frustrating." But I'd like to hear people's reactions of, is this a generational issue or not? Have you run into this, or what's going on?
I'd like to make a comment about that because that's my specialty area, e-learning. And and when we started out, for instance, with the nonprofit that I work with, when we started out, nobody was using the internet, but I had the foresight to see where it was going, and particularly in the area of medical issues. So what you have to use, a lot of people think, and this is what's wrong, this is what happened during the pandemic with teaching. Teachers are not trained to use the internet in an e-learning capacity. You have to go back to the learning modalities, and the principles are very different. And when I first went to get the work, to do the graduate work in this area, I said, "Oh, I've had all those educational courses because I'm a certified teacher." They I quickly learned that that wasn't the case. There are completely different learning principles that underpin teaching in a virtual environment. So basically, my philosophy is really geared in visual literacy, and the other part of it is you do whatever you need to do to make the learner, which in any case would be who you're working with, comfortable in whatever modality you want to use. So use a variety, maybe an initial email and then set up a Zoom meeting, so you can see people's reaction. You can work face to face in a virtual way, but you still have a basis maybe to start the meeting and then ask a lot of questions, because the very first step in any instructional design project, and that's soup to nuts, is an analysis of what the customer thinks they need may not be what they need. They may need more, they may need less, and there may be a lot of differences. But as an instructional designer, that's what we do. We do a needs assessment first, and then take it from there, because how they're going to use whatever the project is, how they're going to serve it up to somebody, you have to take that needs assessment. And interestingly, in the industry, a lot of companies skip the needs assessment, and they just want to do like a patchwork kind of thing, and it's a recipe for disaster. So the very first thing is a needs assessment, and that's where you find out actually what they do. I'd like to ask you all a question once we're finished with this discussion, because I just started freelancing and I don't really know where to start as far as getting my expertise, profile, showing my skills, because I'm a very skilled videographer, as well as I can write. I know how to write, not for the web, actually, it would be where that would fall. And I specialize in a medical area for sure, because I've worked with doctors for 20 years. But anyway, that's
Yeah, and Nancy, I think, Nancy, you need to talk to Rhoda.
Well, I was going to say you need to talk to John because I know John. Do you
And
have
to
any
John, yeah.
I do have something to say towards that generational thing. So when you guys are ready, I'll give mine because I know you were asking.
Yeah. I just want to, Sal, you're onto something very big there. I think there is an emotional connection that people don't want to be disappointed, so they
Mhm.
can't speak to others. So um, they just want to use words if they don't like it, or text messages or whatever. If they don't like it, they can ignore it, and they can run away, you know. But what I say to people is, when I eventually catch up with some people, I say to them, are you just curious, or do you have a genuine interest? You know? And
Well,
yeah,
no, Stephanie, I was going to ask you to go before we go back to John to address
Mhm.
Nancy's issue.
yeah,
But and maybe if you could address, by the way, what Patrick said, because let me just tee it up this way, and I'll let you go. Um, I think one thing that has changed, maybe from when I was younger, maybe starting to work, whatever, is now we're so overwhelmed with information coming in, text messages, emails, phone calls, that it used to be if you were a professional person, if you were a polite person, to Patrick's point, you would reply, even if it was just to say, hey, listen, sorry, I'm
Mhm.
not interested for A, B, and C, or for no reason. But you wouldn't kind of ghost people, which I guess is now what it's called. But I understand that part of it is it's just so much
Mhm.
that you can't do the courtesy almost of a reply anymore. So anyway, Stephanie, I'll let you react to that and everything else.
Well, you guys know me well enough, especially Rhoda and Sal, that when I present on the bird theory, when I present on the birds, trade show marketing is such a big thing out there, but it's not just trade show, it's a relationship building. And ultimately, that's what I do here at Exhibit. I am a relationship builder. It's about the relationship that you have with those clients and with those people. And so when it comes to the generational aspect of it, the traditionalists versus the boomers, millennials, Xers, and then you sit down and you look at the bird theory, which for those of you who don't know already what the bird theory kind of correlates with is the disc analysis, where you have those stronger personalities. And what I teach when we go out and do these booth camps is when you're recognizing people that are around you. So face to face, you can kind of see how these personality traits kind of come out before you even talk to that person. And so there are definite differences, and to do business with all the different generational lines can be difficult if you don't know how to adjust what you're doing in yourself, in your business, to adjust to some of those generational differences or even personality differences. And so, Sal, when you mention how to communicate with people, and that you don't want to work with somebody because of how they communicate, that type of thing, that's not a bad thing. It's one of those things where it's still based off of that relationship. Do you know them well enough to flat out ask them, how do you want me to communicate with you? We have clients that we work with that is one of the priorities that's in our qualifying questions. How do you prefer to be communicated with? That's one of those things that's a qualifier of, is this, Patrick, somebody that I want to do business with, or are you just curious in what we do? How do you get through that? There is a certain amount of relationship building that you need to do in your business and personally before you can figure out if they are your ideal client or not. And whenever I'm out there networking, I always have a hard time with the person that comes up and immediately goes into their sales pitch. You don't know that I'm going to be right for you. First of all, get to know me a little bit. So, when you're out there networking, it's not just immediately about your sales pitch. And so, that's why I like to bring in the International Balloon Fiesta, or what I do as a person is what I do here. We get to know one another. That's why a group like this is so important, is it's not just about that quick, let me tell you what I do and move on. It's about getting to know one another, being able to communicate. But don't be afraid to ask them their mode of communication. Because I don't mind an email. That is something that I will respond to. But I am very much a face-to-face person. Call me.
Yeah, for example, I don't like LinkedIn messages as well as I like email because I can't save them in a folder. You know, I can't save them forever and then be able to go back and see what the sequence of events was. But having said that, I want to answer something that Nancy asked. Offering advice, Nancy, offering advice on LinkedIn. You join a LinkedIn group and you can also answer a question about videography or about learning on LinkedIn. And after a while, people that hang out, if you will, with that topic are going to see that you have something valid to say. So that's definitely one way to connect is by joining groups and offering to answer questions on LinkedIn.
You know,
And you can,
I have a profile on LinkedIn. I think I have like 900 different people that are connected with me, but it's mostly in a medical setting, and it's mostly with infertility, pregnancy loss, and adoption. Now, I'm well known. I get lots of calls about that, but starting to
You have
freelance.
groups that are about communication or about video. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I haven't tried that, but that's a really good suggestion. I can't afford LinkedIn Premium. I tried it. I didn't see the value in it right away, so I will do that. I'll try that. I also have started. I've done a whole bunch of volunteer work. I I did a lot for the ARC of Northern Virginia. That's a national organization, the ARC. I did a whole bunch of campaign videos. They were interviewing candidates, and I offered to do videos for them, and they really liked them and used them. So, you know, and I'm not opposed. If somebody's got a mission that I really appreciate, I'll do free work for them. I think that can't really hurt me as far as, um, uh, you know, as far as business is concerned. I'm a big proponent for nonprofits anyway. They don't get the best, uh, you know, support a lots of times, particularly the past year and a half with the pandemic has been really hard on a lot of nonprofits.
Right.
I'm sorry, John, you were going to jump in for a second there?
yeah, I mean, I agree with Rhoda that you could join a group on either LinkedIn or Facebook, but you could also create one. You could start something and start a conversation, and you very much stay away from selling or getting clients. You simply give advice or have posts that talk about, have you ever had this problem? Here's the solution, that kind of stuff. But the other way, if you want to be a freelancer, there are a number of websites out there. The one that I use and I know very well is called Fiverr, Fiverr. And
Yeah,
it's a,
I think I have an account in there, but I've never really explored it well. I'm also on Upwork and
it's a
um,
marketplace basically. So you
yeah,
put your shingle out there, but it attracts people who are looking for services. It's not a general thing. You know, they're looking for somebody to do something, whether it's cold calling, being a personal assistant, setting up your LinkedIn, setting up your Facebook, those, whatever it may be. That's a really good place to do it. But there are others like it. So graphic designers have one that's very specific to graphic design, for example. So you go in and I want a new uh, logo for my company, and you get 3 people to bid on it. They send you whatever you tell them. I like this or like that. They send you something. You pick one and you pay them whatever the going rate is. But it's never $1 million. You know, it's $200, $300, something like that. So it all depends on, but that's that site. So there are also sites for doing education. So one of the things I was going to ask you was if I have a book that I wrote, for example, on sales or marketing, and I wanted to turn that into a course, that sounds like that's the kind of thing that you do.
Absolutely. That is, when I was finishing my certificate, I actually redesigned a graduate course in counseling for Bath University in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
That was not as much fun as some other things I've done, but it definitely was a really good learning process. I, I, I don't know, maybe this is the wrong time to bring this up, but I am really having a hard time just not cutting off Facebook altogether. I see them as so unethical,
Yeah.
and have always seen them in that way, based on what I know about, their forums, the way they set them up. Have always suspected what's coming out in the media now to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's documentation that proves it, but um, I have a real, one of the places that I did join was, and if you haven't heard of it, God, what is his name? Humane Technology,
Mm-hmm.
and how important humane technology is. Um, we just added a mission to Insight on humane technology. It's not off the ground yet, but it's really, really important, or otherwise social media is really going to destroy the United States and most everybody else in the world. It's like
Yeah.
a cesspool because it's not moderated.
No, that's true. And
Well, let me
people
ask
ask me if
a
I want to
question
be
here.
friends on Facebook, and I said only if you don't want any posts. I don't post except to say happy birthday, maybe something like that.
I don't have Facebook, guys, believe it or not. I have
Good for
LinkedIn.
you.
Well, simply for
I
the
don't have it
reason
either.
that, as it is, like Rhoda said, I get emails on my regular email account. I get emails sometimes on Meetup. I get emails on LinkedIn. I get Meetup on some other system, and so now I'm going to these 3 or 4 places to get emails, and I just don't have time to post on Facebook. And if you're not going to post, then whatever. I guess my question is, am I the only person here that doesn't have Facebook?
No,
Nope, I don't either. I
I
don't
only have
either.
Facebook to keep track of my kids.
I
And I don't
have
even do that for family. People get mad at me because I'm not on Facebook. I'm sorry. I can lose my time in Facebook, and I don't do it
Oh.
because I can lose my time in Facebook. And so I don't. When it comes to family and friends, just call me and let me know.
Yeah,
Or
I don't see
text me, send me pictures. I'd rather do that than do it on a social huge platform like that. LinkedIn is better for me when it comes to business. So,
Yes, agreed.
yeah.
Oh, and you know what? It was Josh Brown from Reitholtz Financial Investments or something on CNBC. A long time ago, they asked him, would you rather invest in Facebook or LinkedIn? And this was from an investment perspective, right? Putting money to work. But I loved his answer because he says, I'm going with LinkedIn because it's for people with jobs and money. And I kind of feel the same way. If I'm going to do business, which is my
Mhm.
reason for being on social media, I want to be in the platform with people that have jobs and money.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of the consumer being the product.
Mhm.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
really think that that's just a disgusting kind of idea, and it would be different if if there were safeguards in place and they actually cared more about doing good in the world than, you can tell I come from a nonprofit, but more interested in doing good in the world than they
Yeah.
are greedy, money hungry. And I really hate seeing people duped by Facebook. It really just bothers me. And I do have an account, but I really rarely use it. And the only reason I have it is I have a section for inside. So when people post something to us, I say, connect with me via email. Um,
Okay.
But
But let me ask real
Yeah.
quick, if for the people that are not using Facebook or have it but don't want to use it, whatever, what should we use? Is it LinkedIn? Is it something else? Just email, phone, text? What should we be doing?
Email, phone, and text, person to person.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I was going to piggyback on what Sal said earlier is I don't even like talking to somebody on the phone. I like to be face to face. I'll drive 20 miles to talk to somebody face to face rather than call them up the phone and try to sell them something. Obviously, the phone is a tool, texting is a tool, email is a tool. I mean, email is perfect for somebody you don't really want to disturb, but you want to tell them something, and they can get to it when they get to it rather than picking up the phone. So, but when you really want to have a conversation, it's got to be phone or in person to me.
And see, and
I feel like
this is
Zoom.
where this is where when it comes to relationship building on what I've done here is I've been a really good local person. I never used Zoom before COVID at all. But in the last year and a half, I've learned Zoom and what that's done for me on a national basis, and not just me, but our company has national clients. But what it's done for me is I've been able to get those national clients on face to face that I didn't have the opportunity to do before. And so even though it's not death by Zoom, if it's somebody that I am building that relationship with and I need to share my screen, it's made it easier for me to do that. So I've had to go out of my comfort zone to really look at, okay, I love having meetings here in my conference room where I can shake hands and meet with them face to face. That's where Zoom has come in on a national side for me. But I agree, email, phone, face to face. Those are my, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and it's like everything, right? You have to, the way I think about it is you have to know what to use the different tools for, right? If I already have a face-to-face relationship, if I already have a relationship, and all I want to send you is a long document for you to review or a spreadsheet for you to look at or something, then fine, email, right? It's like in the old days, we might have put it in the mail and now we do email and it's instantaneous, but I already have the relationship. And same thing, if I built the relationship face to face and now maybe it's a short thing and I want to avoid the traffic, okay, fine. I do Zoom, but I don't start the relationship on Zoom if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
Oh, so in favor of Facebook, just since everybody is bashing Facebook, I post only one thing on Facebook that is my blog automatically pings to Facebook. But what I found Facebook very, very useful for is it gives me insight into different business contacts. So, for example, today I went on and I found that one of my important business contacts just celebrated her 39th wedding anniversary. So you get insight into, you know, what drives different people, and especially Saul, for you that could be important because if they're buying and selling a business, you know, you want to know what does the spouse think and what do the kids think and what about moving and all of that, and you pick up intelligence from Facebook. It's not so much that I want to say that I found a pimple on my nose yesterday, but it's, you know, things that matter to people are often, even business wise, are often found on Facebook. So you need to be on there so you can read what other people are saying, and then you can like it or you can make a comment, even if you're not putting brand new everything there today.
Yeah, fair
yeah,
enough.
you
That,
just
that
have to
makes
That's
sense.
a
beware
great
of their
point.
algorithm that is doing
Yeah,
the same thing that you're doing, only on a much bigger scale
Mhm.
and
right.
invading everybody's privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there are
Well, guys, let me
advantages
just
and
make
disadvantages.
two. I'm
Sorry.
sorry, Patrick. Go ahead.
Also, thank you. There are advantages and disadvantages to every platform, which is the one I'm looking for. At the moment, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not really vibrant on Facebook. I just can't really do it. You know, I think it's a little bit invasive. But at the same time, the connection potential of it is absolutely staggering. You know, 2 billion people chattering about things that are of some interest and things mostly that are not of any interest. but still it's a connecting platform. And in the world we're in today, connection is so important.
Well, but the one thing about Facebook or LinkedIn or any of the platforms, with LinkedIn or with Facebook, you can create a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page that people can opt into, and you can say out, where you can say you
Yeah.
can't come in. So you can control your audience, but it can be an audience that's interested in what you're doing. So if you had a videography type page, you could mentor people, you could talk to people, you could get information back and forth, and possibly even get business from it. But you don't have to put up with all the stuff you're talking about, which is all the
Well,
invasive. It's
I
not.
didn't know that. I didn't know that, John. I didn't know that. Thank you. I've had a learning outcome.
Well, listen, guys, let
But
me tell you
Worry-
something.
I worry
they don't
about
do it themselves.
As much as it's really interesting, it is 50 minutes after the hour, 51 now. It just rolled over. So I want to give everybody a couple minutes before your next meeting, whether it's Zoom or in person or however it is. Just a couple of quick announcements. If you haven't already done so, please put your contact information in the chat. I forgot to say it at the beginning. I've seen a lot of people doing it because I send whatever you put in the chat later today when I send a copy of the recording. Stephanie, if you ever do the presentation on the birds again, let me know, because I want to share it with our whole group, because it is absolutely excellent. I participated in
Thank
that
you.
one. If I can get her to do it ever again, please don't miss it, because it's really, really, really cool. Don't miss our guest speaker for 2 weeks from now, David Radin from Confirmed. That's like it'll be a really nice tool for those of you that are not using automated meeting scheduling, and like Rhoda said, with the proper setup and the proper introduction. Go ahead,
Sal,
Stephanie.
get me past November, and then I can probably come in. The presentation can go anywhere from an hour to 3 hours if you want. But if you want to do a down and dirty on this area and invite whoever you want to invite, I can break it down into about half an hour where I just focus on the bird personalities themselves.
You got
So
yourself a deal.
get me past
Yeah.
November, because I'm actually traveling to 3 different shows in 3 weeks, all in Las Vegas, just 3 different 3 different things.
No.
So
Listen, you
give me
got
past
yourself a
November.
deal. I'm not going to let you off the hook. We're going to do it
Okay.
after between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is
There you go.
still a difficult period, but that'll be your Christmas gift to everybody.
Yes, I would love to do that, and I can get on, and it would take probably about a half an hour minimum for me
That's
to
great, Stephanie.
get
Best of
that.
luck with the exhibitions. And
Thank you.
I'd like to remind you that our attention span is only 7 minutes. After that, I don't know what happens. You know.
Oh, you'll have fun with this one, right, Sal?
Absolutely. I
I'll keep
honestly,
your
I
attention.
really loved it.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Here's the only thing I'll say, and you guys can try to figure out which one it is. But when she described the different birds, she came to one. We said, well, like this, like that, the other thing. I said, oh my God, that's exactly the one that I am. I mean, it's like she did like some type of psychological X-ray on me, and so now at least I know what bird I am. And the last thing I'll say is, and this one's for Nancy, it goes back to what Rhoda said about answering some questions to get your name out there. There's a platform I like a lot. I'm assuming it's pronounced Quora. It's Quora. And it's exactly that. It's for people to post questions, and then the experts come in and answer them. But of course, again, as you answer these questions, people say, oh, this is the expert. What they said makes sense to me. And then they contact you, and maybe you can get some business done.
Yeah, on them, but I've never used it. I'll go look
Okay,
at it.
try Quora. I've had good experiences with that one. Okay, guys, listen, we're almost at 2:55. Appreciate the lively discussion. Appreciate all you guys getting on, and hopefully I can see all of you in 2 weeks again on the 18th.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Thank you,
Sounds
Sal.
good.
Thank you for
Thank
being a
you.
marvelous host, Sal. Thank you for being a marvelous
Yes,
host.
thank you,
I'll
Matt.
call you this afternoon, okay? John, I'll call you this afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, let me call you because I have to go out.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys. See you later.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal.